Listen up, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you see everything. There's a book that has stood the test of time, a book that has shaped empires, transformed lives, and sparked revolutions, not through violence, not through oppression, but through truth. And truth, my friends, is the most dangerous weapon in the world. For over 1,400 years, this book has remained untouched, unchallenged, and undefeated. It has been banned, burned, and buried, but it never disappeared. They have tried to distort it, silence it, and keep it hidden from you. But why? Why would they fear a book? What is it about these words that shakes entire systems, threatens the powerful, and exposes the lies that have controlled minds for generations? You see, the Quran is not just ink on paper. It's a force that wakes people up, breaks the chains of mental slavery, and opens eyes to a reality that some don't want you to see. Because once you know the truth, once you truly understand its message, you can never be controlled again. So, if you're ready, if you're bold enough to hear what they don't want you to know, stay with me till the end, because after this, you'll never look at the world the same way again. The Quran is not just a book, it is a timeless message, a divine revelation that has remained unchanged for over 14 centuries in a world where texts are edited, rewritten, and altered to fit agendas. This book stands alone, untouched, and preserved in its original form. No other religious scripture in history has maintained its authenticity in the way the Quran has. From the moment it was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, it has been memorized, written, and passed down with absolute accuracy. The same words recited over 1,400 years ago are the same words recited today by millions across the globe. It has been safeguarded not just in ink, but in the hearts of believers, a phenomenon unmatched in human history. The Quran's preservation is not the work of men, it is a divine promise. Indeed, we have sent down the reminder, and indeed we will be its guardian. This promise has held firm, despite all odds, all opposition, and all attempts to erase or distort its message. But what truly makes the Quran unparalleled is not just its preservation, but the depth of its truth. This is not a book of myths or stories crafted by human hands. It speaks with a certainty and authority, a conviction that transcends human knowledge. It addresses the past, the present, and the future, all with an accuracy that cannot be explained by any worldly means. It speaks of the heavens, the earth, the oceans, and the intricate details of human creation, long before science could comprehend such matters. It lays out principles of justice, governance, economics, and social harmony that remain unmatched by any political system ever devised. It does not bow to the ideologies of men. Rather, it stands as the standard by which all else is measured. Kingdoms have risen and fallen, civilizations have come and gone, yet this book remains, its message as relevant today as it was the day it was revealed. The Quran's words penetrate the heart because they're not mere poetry, not just philosophical musings. They carry a force, a weight, a truth that cannot be ignored. When it speaks, it is not uncertain, hesitant, or speculative. It does not offer half-truths or theories subject to revision. It speaks with divine authority. And the word of your Lord has been fulfilled in truth and in justice. None can alter his words, and he is the hearing, the knowing. These are not just statements. They are realities that have played out across history. No book has been read, recited, and memorized by so many people in so many places, in so many languages, without losing even a letter of its original revelation. This is not just a book. It is a living miracle. It is a book that knows you. It speaks to the depths of the human soul. It answers questions you didn't even know you had. It understands the struggles of the heart, the conflicts of the mind, the turmoil of life itself. It does not change with the shifting tides of human thought because truth does not change. What was wrong 1,000 years ago is still wrong today, and what was right remains right no matter how the world tries to redefine it. The Quran is not shaped by the times are shaped by the Quran. It is a book of wisdom, of guidance, of mercy, and of warning. It is the difference between light and darkness, between truth and falsehood, between success and failure. It is the final word, the ultimate message, the unshakable truth that has stood against the tests of time and will continue to do so until the end of days. The Quran is not just a spiritual guide. It is a book filled with knowledge far beyond human comprehension at the time of its revelation. 14 centuries ago, in a world without telescopes, microscopes, or modern scientific instruments, the Quran spoke about the universe, the earth, the human body, and natural phenomena with precision that continues to astonish scientists today. It describes the stages of human embryonic development in a way that was only discovered through modern embryology. It speaks of the expansion of the universe, a concept confirmed by astrophysicists centuries later. It references the protective layers of the atmosphere, the role of mountains in stabilizing the earth, and the existence of barriers between different seas that do not mix completely, all of which have been proven by contemporary science. How could a man living in the deserts of Arabia in the 7th century have known these facts without divine revelation? This is not coincidence, nor is it guesswork. This is knowledge that could only come from the Creator of all things. The Quran also presents historical facts that were unknown at the time, but later confirmed by archaeologists and historians. It speaks about the fate of lost civilizations, such as the people of Ad and Thamud, whose remains were discovered centuries after the Quran mentioned them. It describes the story of Pharaoh's body being preserved, a detail unknown to historians until the mummies of ancient Egypt were studied in modern time. These are not vague references or general statements. They are specific, precise, and completely accurate. No other religious text carries such a weight of verified historical truth. The Quran does not rely on legends or myths. It presents facts that stand firm even against the scrutiny of modern research. One of the most striking aspects of the Quran is the way it challenges humanity to think critically. It does not ask for blind faith. It calls people to reflect, observe, and analyze the world around them. It repeatedly asks questions that push the mind toward deeper understanding. Do they not look at the sky above them, how we have built it and adorned it, and there are no flaws in it? It encourages scientific inquiry, seeking knowledge, and discovering the natural laws that govern existence, unlike other religious texts that were rewritten or adjusted to align with human discoveries. The Quran has remained unchanged, and yet its message continues to align with every new scientific breakthrough. This is why many scientists, researchers, and intellectuals who approach the Quran with an open mind find themselves in awe of its wisdom. They recognize that this is not the work of man, but a revelation from a higher intelligence. Despite this, there have been continuous efforts to downplay or ignore the scientific and historical truths in the Quran. There are those who fear what this book reveals because it challenges deeply held assumptions and exposes falsehoods. If the Quran is indeed the Word of God, then it means that human-made systems, ideologies, and theories are incomplete or flawed. It means that truth is not relative, but absolute. This is a reality that many are unwilling to accept. Throughout history, powerful institutions have resisted acknowledging the Quran's wisdom because doing so would require them to admit that divine knowledge surpasses human intellect. The Quran has been misrepresented, misunderstood, and sometimes deliberately distorted, yet the truth within it remains unshaken. The more science advances, the more it confirms what was written in this book over 1,400 years ago. This is not a book of speculation, it is a book of truth. It is a testament to the knowledge of the one who created the universe, revealing mysteries long before mankind had the tools to uncover them. The Quran is not just a book of rules or history. It is a transformative force that has changed the lives of countless individuals across generations. It speaks directly to the human soul, addressing the deepest concerns, struggles, and aspirations of people from all walks of life. The power of its guidance lies in the way it reaches the heart, cutting through doubt, confusion, and deception, bringing clarity and purpose. It is not just about religious rituals or laws, it is a blueprint for a meaningful and disciplined life, offering wisdom that applies to every situation, whether in moments of joy, hardship, loss, or success. Its words have the power to heal, to inspire, and to awaken a sense of responsibility toward oneself and the world. Those who engage with the Quran sincerely, whether scholars, seekers of truth, or even former skeptics, often find their entire perspective on life transformed. They realize that this book is not just about belief, it is about action, about building character, about striving for justice, patience, humility, and sincerity. Throughout history, the Quran has been a catalyst for change in the lives of individuals, communities, and entire civilizations. It has turned oppressors into protectors of justice. It has given strength to the weak, and it has liberated people from the chains of ignorance, superstition, and corruption. It does not simply tell people what is right and wrong. It teaches them how to think critically, how to seek knowledge, how to stand firm in the face of adversity, and how to develop the qualities of a leader, a thinker, and a person of integrity. Its impact is so profound that many who study it with an open mind cannot help but be moved by its depth and wisdom. Even those who initially resist its message find themselves drawn to its undeniable truth, realizing that it speaks to something deep within them, a truth they always knew but never fully understood. The Quran does not promise an easy life, nor does it tell people only what they want to hear. Instead, it speaks with honesty and clarity about the nature of human existence, the struggles one must endure, the tests that shape character, and the ultimate reality beyond this world. It acknowledges human weakness and provides guidance on how to overcome temptations, doubts, and distractions. And as my Uncle Dawek says, disgrace, it warns of the dangers of arrogance, selfishness, and materialism while encouraging patience, gratitude, and generosity. It constantly reminds people of their purpose and their responsibility, not just to themselves, but to their families, their communities, and all of humanity. This is why those who take its message to heart find a sense of direction and inner peace, no matter how difficult their circumstances may be. Many who were once lost, whether in aimlessness, despair, or even rebellion against faith, have found solace and meaning through the Quran. It does not impose itself upon people. It invites them to reflect, to question, and to seek answers with sincerity. Time and time again, those who have come to the Quran with an open mind have found themselves changed in ways they never expected. It has turned sinners into saints, doubters into believers, and ordinary people into extraordinary leaders who dedicate their lives to truth and justice. It is a book that does not simply ask for faith. It builds it through reason, through experience, and through undeniable wisdom that stands the test of time. Those who truly embrace its message do not just change themselves, they change the world around them, carrying forward the light of guidance in a world that desperately needs it. The Quran is not just a book of religious teachings, it is a challenge to falsehood, a beacon of truth that exposes deception, corruption, and injustice. It stands as a testament to the reality that truth, no matter how much it is resisted, will always prevail. Throughout history, powerful individuals and systems have feared the Quran, not because it incites violence or chaos, but because it shakes the very foundations of falsehood they have built their power upon. It speaks against oppression, calls for justice, and reminds people that no ruler, no government, no institution has absolute authority. Only the Creator does. It does not bow down to worldly power, nor does it compromise its message to please those in control. This is why so many have sought to suppress it, distort its meaning, or create fear around it. They know that once people understand the truth it carries, they will no longer be willing to submit to the lies that have kept them in chains. The Quran teaches people to think for themselves, to question blind conformity, and to seek evidence before believing anything. It warns against following traditions simply because they have been passed down without examining their truthfulness. It teaches that knowledge is a duty, that understanding is more valuable than blind faith, and that a person should not accept something just because the majority does. This is dangerous to those who thrive on ignorance and manipulation. When people begin to think critically, they no longer accept injustice as normal. They no longer believe the false narratives pushed by those in power. They begin to recognize their rights, their dignity, and their responsibility to stand against oppression. The Quran does not just offer spiritual guidance. It is a force that awakens minds and empowers hearts. This is why it is feared. The fear of the Quran is not new. From the moment it was revealed, those who held power saw it as a threat. The leaders of Mecca tried to silence it, ridiculed it, and even tortured those who followed its message. They did everything they could to stop its spread because they knew it called for the end of exploitation, greed, and corruption. But the truth could not be contained. The more they fought it, the stronger it became. The same pattern has repeated throughout history. Governments, regimes, and ideological systems have tried to suppress the Quran's message by banning it, burning it, misrepresenting it, or labeling it as dangerous. Yet, despite all efforts, it continues to spread, and its influence continues to grow. One of the greatest fears surrounding the Quran is its ability to unite people beyond race, nationality, and social status. It does not divide based on wealth, color, or background. It calls all of humanity to one truth, one creator, one purpose. This is a direct challenge to those who profit from division. When people are divided, they are easier to control. They fight amongst themselves while those in power continue to exploit them. But when people unite under a higher truth, they become strong, independent, and fearless. They no longer accept injustice. They no longer allow themselves to be manipulated, and they no longer live in fear. This is why the Quran is seen as a threat. It removes fear from the hearts of people and places it where it truly belongs, with the Creator alone. The Quran exposes the falsehoods of materialism, greed, and the pursuit of power for the sake of control. It reminds people that no matter how powerful someone may seem, no matter how much wealth they accumulate, their time on this earth is limited. It shifts the focus from temporary worldly success to eternal success. It teaches that real honor and power do not come from money or status, but from righteousness and truth. This is a message that makes tyrants uneasy. They want people to remain distracted, chasing after wealth and pleasure, never pausing to question what truly matters. But the Quran does not allow this. It calls people to reflect, to break free from deception, and to see the reality of life for what it is. This is what makes it the most feared book in history. When a person sincerely engages with the Quran, something remarkable happens. It does not simply provide information. It transforms the way a person thinks, perceives, and understands the world. The Quran speaks to the heart, the mind, and the soul all at once, reaching places within a person that no other book can reach. Its words have a power that cannot be explained through ordinary means, as if they unlock a part of human nature that has been waiting for the truth. This is why countless individuals, from scholars to skeptics, have found their lives completely changed after reading and reflecting upon its message. Some begin with doubts, some approach it with curiosity, and others with the intent to criticize, but many of them end up discovering something far greater than they ever expected. History is filled with examples of people who set out to challenge the Quran but instead found themselves drawn into its wisdom. Some of the greatest Islamic scholars were once its biggest opponents, yet after truly understanding its words, they could not resist its truth. The Quran has a way of breaking down arrogance, dismantling falsehood, and revealing realities that people often ignore. It speaks with authority, yet with deep compassion, commanding people to think beyond their immediate desires and to reflect on the deeper purpose of life. It does not force belief upon anyone, but presents truth so clearly that rejecting it becomes a matter of personal choice rather than lack of understanding. Those who sincerely seek guidance often find themselves unable to deny its impact. There is something extraordinary about the way the Quran addresses each person individually. It feels as if it knows the struggles, the doubts, and the questions that exist within the reader's heart. It speaks about human nature with such accuracy that it becomes impossible to dismiss. Those who have read it with sincerity often describe feeling as if it was written just for them, answering their unspoken concerns and providing solutions to problems they never thought had answers. It calls people to higher moral standards, urging them to be better, to let go of their ego, and to rise above the distractions of the material world. Many have found themselves unable to resist the deep transformation it brings, because it does not just change what a person believes, it changes who they are. The Quran does not offer vague philosophy or abstract ideals. It provides a complete way of life, guiding every aspect of human existence. It is practical, direct, and deeply relevant no matter the time or place. It speaks to the human soul in a way that is unmatched, giving clarity where there is confusion, strength where there is weakness, and hope where there is despair. It does not merely suggest righteousness, it commands it. It does not just condemn injustice, it exposes it. It is a book that demands action, not just reflection. This is why those who engage with it sincerely often find themselves making dramatic changes in their lives. They let go of harmful habits, they seek truth more earnestly, and they develop a sense of purpose that they never had before. One of the most striking aspects of the Quran is that it does not age. Unlike other texts that become outdated or irrelevant with time, the Quran remains as powerful today as it was 1,400 years ago. It continues to answer the most pressing questions of humanity, offering guidance that aligns with reason, experience, and intuition. Those who have tried to dismiss it as a product of the past have often been forced to reconsider after realizing how deeply it speaks to modern challenges. Whether it is personal development, social justice, family structure, economic ethics, or spiritual fulfillment, the Quran provides guidance that remains unparalleled. It is a book that transforms not only individuals, but entire societies, creating a ripple effect that continues long after a person first opens its pages. Throughout history, powerful forces have tried to suppress the truth, manipulate narratives, and control what people believe. The Quran stands as a direct challenge to that control. It is not merely a book of religion, it is a force that disrupts the status quo, exposing falsehood, corruption, and oppression wherever they exist. This is why it has been feared, resisted, and even banned in different periods of history. It speaks a truth so undeniable that those who wish to maintain power built on deception cannot afford to let people understand it. If people truly understood the Quran, they would no longer be controlled by false ideologies, empty distractions, or systems designed to keep them in ignorance. The Quran is not a book that conforms to human desires or bends to fit corrupt agendas. It stands firm in its message, calling out injustice, rejecting manipulation, and demanding accountability from both rulers and the common person. This is what makes it dangerous to those who rely on deception. Empires, governments, and elites throughout history have worked tirelessly to keep people away from its message, whether through distortion, misinformation, or outright banning. They fear that if people truly grasp its teachings, they will no longer tolerate oppression, materialism, and moral decay. The Quran exposes the flaws of man-made ideologies, the weaknesses of those in power, and the consequences of arrogance and greed. It does not allow for half-truths or comfortable illusions. It forces people to confront reality. One of the greatest fears surrounding the Quran is its ability to awaken minds. Unlike any other book, it does not merely inspire, it transforms. It breaks the chains of mental enslavement and challenges individuals to seek truth beyond what they have been conditioned to believe. Those who read it with sincerity often find themselves questioning everything they once accepted without thought. The Quran does not simply tell people what to believe, it compels them to reflect, analyze, and seek knowledge. It invites the reader to challenge their biases, to look deeper into history, and to recognize the patterns of deception that have been used against them. There is a reason why media, academic institutions, and political figures often try to frame the Quran as controversial or dangerous. They fear what happens when people read it for themselves rather than relying on second-hand interpretations influenced by bias and propaganda. They fear that once people realize the depth of its wisdom, they will begin to see through the distractions and lies fed to them. The Quran shifts priorities. It takes a person away from blind consumerism, selfish ambition, and meaningless pursuits, redirecting them toward purpose, responsibility, and truth. A society built on distractions and indulgence cannot afford to let people embrace such a mindset. Despite all efforts to suppress it, the Quran continues to spread, touching the hearts of millions across the world. It has survived every attempt to erase, distort, or bury it, and it remains unchanged, carrying the same powerful message it always has. The fact that it is still feared today is proof of its relevance and strength. It is not an ancient relic of the past, it is a living guide, speaking directly to the challenges of the modern world, just as powerfully as it did centuries ago. It continues to unsettle those who seek control because it reminds people of their true purpose, their true power, and the reality that no system, government, or ideology can stand against truth forever. The Quran is not just a book. It is a force that has shaped civilizations, transformed lives, and stood unshaken against the tides of time. It holds the truth that many have tried to suppress, yet it continues to rise, untouched and undefeated. Those who fear its message do so because it disrupts their control, dismantles falsehood, and awakens the minds of those who seek knowledge. No matter how much deception surrounds it, the truth within the Quran remains clear, powerful, and unbreakable. History has shown that no empire, no agenda, and no force can silence it. The more they try to suppress it, the more it spreads, proving that truth always finds a way. To those who seek answers, who long for something real in a world full of illusions, know that the truth is there for those willing to see it. The Quran is not just a book to be read. It is a message to be understood, a wisdom to be lived, and a light that will never fade. The world may try to keep you from it, but nothing can stop a heart that truly wants to know. Good luck on your journey to truth, knowledge, and understanding. May you always seek with sincerity, and may you always find what you are looking for. Thank you for listening, and may you be guided toward what is real, what is right, and what is everlasting. Stay strong, stay true, and never stop searching for the truth.